You're gonna be a shining star, fancy clothes, fancy cars, and then you see you're gonna go far, 'cause everyone knows who you are, so live your life.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Matt Townsend Show. You got to live your life. T.I.'s even saying it in that wonderful song right there. We're talking about living on purpose, meaning you have a purpose and you're living it intentionally. You are intentionally choosing to become the change in the world that you feel you need to become and bring to this great earth. We're going to be having on Dr. Paul Jenkins in a bit. He's going to walk us through some ideas about how to live a life on purpose, how to find what your role in life is, and how to find your passion. He's got some great information. But before we do, we want to go to Tyler Mail. Tyler Mail's our intern, and we call him Gus. We call him Biff. We call him a lot of things because we didn't know his name for about a month. And we always wondered who he was and why he would just hang out with us. Then we found out he's our intern. And now we've got him out on the road asking people questions. So, Tyler, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hi.
You took your mic out and you put it in people's faces, and you asked what?
I wanted to know what they thought their purpose in life was, personally.
Interesting. Did they know?
Most of them said and
There's lots of
and
and
it definitely took a few seconds for them to finally pull something out.
And in the middle of the and the you get hit by a stray train driven by some lady who shouldn't be driving the train.
And then it's too late to find your purpose.
That's why you got to know what your purpose is. So let's, as life goes on, we all wonder what our purpose in life is. Some people have had more time to think about it than others.
Finding your purpose in life can be difficult. Luckily, I got to talk to a couple people who seem to have it at least a little bit figured out.
I live in a constant state of fight or flight, and so life for me is kind of a reaction. You just got to see what's coming at you, not live in the past, not look towards the future, but actually kind of just like react to things, create your own circumstances.
My purpose in life is purely for your own entertainment.
Where do I find these people? Okay, let's try this again. What is your purpose in life?
I think that one of my purposes in life is to be able to see those who are kind of in pain and then be able to approach them and help them out as best as I can.
Well, for me, I really feel like it's finding my purpose in life.
In all honesty, the purpose of life is to be happy.
I think my purpose in life is to be happy and to have a family, discovering more about myself.
If that's your purpose, then how does that affect what you do on a daily basis to achieve it?
I guess, stay aware. I stay aware of my surroundings, so usually I try to approach them and try to make their day happier.
I try to find things that I can improve about myself. Fortunately, I have many opportunities to do so every time I mess up.
Fulfilling your potential, whether it be academically, in your family.
How does that affect your character? How have you changed because you focus on this purpose?
It's kind of twofold because a lot of times it helps me to realize that, life isn't as bad as sometimes you try to make it. You realize that, you can be more like Jesus Christ and trying to help those that he cares about.
I see myself as a work in progress rather than like a fixed point. I think it opens up more opportunities to try things differently. I think it makes me happier.
Now, these people were younger, and so they might not have had everything figured out for their entire lives. But they at least did have some sort of course that is going to help them achieve something greater in life than just sitting around wondering what their purpose in life is.
Well done, Tyler Mail. So, any key learnings, any key takeaways, my friend? What did you learn about purpose?
Well, I really liked what that one girl said when she said that our purpose in life is kind of to progress and to continually learn about yourself and to continually improve yourself. And so your purpose in life is really to learn, which is what one of the guys said.
Yeah, I like that idea. Some of us don't think that way. Some of us think it's not to learn, it's to avoid pain.
It's kind of like I started out the clip with a couple of funny answers, and the guy said, I pretty much just react to everything. Everything is just reaction. There's no purpose.
You don't need to know. You just need to react to whatever. How do you live if there's no purpose in life? How do you handle the death of a child if you have no purpose?
Well, if you were Bryce, you'd probably just sit and eat a box of family-sized Cheez-Its.
Good point. True that.
Hey, you got to cope somehow, all right? Everyone has their way.
Can a guy not eat a box of Cheez-Its and go into a Cheez-It coma without everyone coming down on it?
But I think, for those people, if they don't have a purpose, if they go through a trial like that, that is when they find their purpose for living.
If you're looking for it, I guess. Mm-hmm. I mean, the interesting thing I think Dr. Jenkins is going to tell us when he comes on after this next break is we've all probably got something there. There's something that motivates us and moves us. And boy, if we don't know it, life's going to probably either pass us by and we'll have regret, or we'll just slowly maybe... I guess, do whatever the world's telling us to do. There's got to be more to life than that, right? I mean, look at you. Look at all of you. Seriously, there has got to be more to life than even this.
Than what we're doing.
Yeah,
Sitting in a padded room where nobody can see us.
Isn't that interesting? But I bet you all like doing this because part of this is your purpose.
Yeah, helping people, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's either this or cleaning campus bathrooms.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it. Or going to Mars. Skyboy, what's your purpose?
To board op the Matt Townsend show.
Boy,
Did you hear how robotic that sounded? It's like,
to board up the Matt Townsend show.
Like I could hear his soul coming out of his mouth. As
Is that what that
just
was?
Just like, it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gone.
There goes his soul. Somebody opened the door and let his soul out. Interesting. That next time, can you do that with, I don't know, a little excitement? Try it one more time with excitement.
To board op the Matt Townsend show. Oh, I tried to push an explosion, but the key is gone.
Yeah. Okay, see, if you were actually into your job, you would have made the key actually fire. Okay, well, I'm here. Before we're done, I'm going to make sure you all have a purpose. And if you don't, you're fired. That's your purpose.
Good thing I work
Keep
for
your
free.
job. Exactly. Good thing you're the intern. Well, that's good. That's why we all need Dr. Paul Jenkins. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Dr. Paul, they call him, is a positive psychologist, and he has a practice called Live on Purpose, as well as a podcast. We're going to be listening to him and pick his brain on how to figure out our purpose in life, how to share it with the rest of the world. You're listening to the Matt Townsend Show right here on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio.
There isn't a better way to listen to music than from a live concert. But let's be honest, no one can make it to a concert every night. So on Highway 89, we bring you music like you're actually there at the concert with front row seats. We aren't playing some doctored up recording, and there are no do-overs. Instead, we bring raw music straight from our studio to you. Tune in weeknights at 10 p.m. Eastern to Highway 89 on BYU Radio. Talk about good.
This is Sam McCall for Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio. After hearing Vice President Joe Biden's recommendations to reduce gun violence, the Obama administration is considering 19 executive orders, sources say include an assault weapons ban, a ban on high-capacity magazines. President Obama will announce his final proposals tomorrow. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has signed into law the nation's first significant gun control measures since the Newtown, Connecticut shooting. It includes an expansion of assault weapons bans on high-capacity magazines, and will help keep firearms out of the hands of the mentally ill. The widow of a victim of the Aurora, Colorado theater shooting is suing suspect James Holmes' former psychiatrist on the grounds that he should have had Holmes placed in a mental health facility to protect the public from the rampage Holmes is accused of. Former Tour de France cyclist Lance Armstrong reportedly admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs during his decorated career in an interview last night with Oprah Winfrey. Armstrong agreed to the interview after a tense hearing with the U.S. anti-doping agency. Author Dan Brown, who wrote bestsellers The Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons, has announced the main character of those novels will return in his new novel called Inferno. World news: explosions rocked Aleppo University in Syria today, killing over 80 as the civil war continues to take more lives. Both rebel and government forces are blaming each other for the attack. A Swedish woman stole a 4-car commuter train in Stockholm early this morning and drove it at high speeds into a suburban area. The train derailed and crashed into an apartment building, but luckily no one was seriously hurt. French authorities say they will continue their mission to stop an Islamist rebellion in Mali until order is restored, despite threats from the militant leaders warning they will strike back at the heart of France. That's the news to now on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio. I'm Sam McCall.
It's my life, it's now or never. I ain't gonna live forever.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Matt Townsend Show. A little Bon Jovi for you. It's my life. And we're joined by Dr. Paul Jenkins. Dr. Paul is a positive psychologist, has a practice here in Utah that he's called Live on Purpose. He is a PhD. That's why we call him doctor, the good doctor. And really, I know a lot of clients and people that work with him. He's legendary here in this part of the, what do we call this? I was going to say the
I'm a
Intermountain
legend
area.
now.
He's a legend.
Sweet.
Dr. Paul, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here, Matt.
You also, you've been called the shrink who expands your life. What does that mean? That sounds painful.
Well, that started years ago when I was doing a talk radio show, and my co-host called me that.
Really?
So
the shrink that expands.
Yeah, the shrink, and we get called shrink sometimes in the business, and some people take offense by that. I've just embraced it and thought,
but you don't want to
not?
be a shrink. You want to be an expander.
An expander,
which is huge.
My whole business is about saving and enriching key relationships. And you and I have that in common because we go around assisting people with their key relationships to create something better, something expanded, something that's enriched so that they can have a better experience.
Do you sense, is it harder today, do you think, to live this expanded life?
Harder than...
I mean, it just seems like there's so many things vying for our attention, grabbing at us. There seems like there's many more needs than maybe we used to have here on this crazy earth.
And a lot of distractions that pull people off target. In fact, a target's a pretty good way to look at this. Well, let's back up a step from that. If you fire a gun, where is that bullet going to go?
Yeah, I guess wherever you've aimed it.
Wherever you've aimed it. What if you haven't aimed it?
Oh, yeah. Then you get shot in the foot.
Well, it's still going somewhere, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
It's still happening.
And this is true also of our jobs, our families, our marriages, our relationships.
That's interesting, yeah.
Where's it going to be in 3, 4, 5, 10 years? And isn't it true that it's going to be somewhere for sure?
Oh, yeah. It's not stopping.
Right.
So it's going to happen, and if we haven't directed it, aimed it, it's still going to be somewhere. It just may not be where you want it.
Exactly.
Or where it's healthiest or where it was best.
And it's most likely to go wherever it's pointed.
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing that intentionally? And that's what we call aiming.
Yeah.
Okay. So it can be intentional or it can be otherwise, but one way or another, that it's going somewhere.
Yeah. That's a great metaphor. In fact, so for all the listeners out there, are they aiming their life and are they the ones firing it, or is it just a stray bullet that hopefully will hit a target that hopefully is what you want? That seems pretty random.
It's going to hit something.
That's interesting.
So living on purpose is all about aiming. And if you're going to do that effectively, you want to know what you're going to aim for. So let's go back to the target idea now.
Yeah.
Your purpose would be at the center of the target.
Yeah. Ideally. My purpose at first would be to just kind of hit anywhere near the target.
Yeah.
That's how I traditionally aim.
Around or by the target somewhere.
Then once you can hit in the target, I guess you kind of tighten it down to the center, I'm assuming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's actually a stepwise way we could approach this to take a look at what's going on, because there's so many people who are out there just haphazardly firing their life in whatever direction it's going.
Well, and even at each other. There's people that are going down because people aren't focused and aiming and...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's start with 4 Ps. And these 4 Ps give a framework to where we're going to start to live on purpose. So the first P is principle. Now, principles are natural laws. Natural laws are always on, and they always work.
Regardless of whether you like a principle or not, gravity, for example, is on.
So gravity is a great example. You never get up in the morning and wonder, I wonder if gravity's on today. Honey, would you check the gravity report?
Yeah. It's working no matter what.
You can count on it, and
Yeah.
it never disappoints you.
Even if you don't like it.
Exactly.
It's still on.
Yeah, so you jump off the top of a tall building, you're going to fall. Now, is that a for sure or a maybe?
That's pretty sure. That's certain.
Yeah, but what about those people, Matt, who are standing up there and they're thinking, you know what, gravity? I just don't buy that. I don't agree with that concept. Those people who believe in it, they're all brainwashed.
Yeah, they're so old-fashioned.
And then they jump.
Yeah, still operates.
Yeah.
That's what I love about gravity.
Same splat as the believers,
That's
right?
Exactly.
Except if you notice the believers don't jump.
Yeah, they get it.
Because they get the principle. And we could build on that. But so the principles determine outcomes to everything.
So part of, I guess, being on purpose is, I guess, understanding that what governs, I guess, the results are the principles.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool.
Whether you're aware of them or not.
Yeah, whether you agree or whether you're even if you're not aware, they still are what's operating.
Right.
That's huge.
So if you keep falling, you might want to check into gravity.
Yeah, that might be
just.
Yeah, so if you keep missing and you're falling and you're not getting what you want out of life, but tell me, like, what's the result? How do you know if you're on purpose? Because you may think falling is your purpose.
And if it happens enough, you might come to that conclusion.
Yeah, it's easy to just say, yeah, I guess I'm a faller.
Yeah. So let's go to purpose. Actually, purpose is the third P.
Okay.
The second P is paradigm. Now,
Principle, paradigm, purpose.
Paradigm is basically the way you see the world. So how you interpret the world. And you'll see people going through life and they feel like the world is a terrible place.
Yeah.
Awful, terrible, no good, very bad. And there are other people who go through thinking, oh, this is awesome.
This is so great.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
I've been accused sometimes, Matt, of being Pollyanna-ish.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
I guess you're just some little girl in an old movie that they used to show.
You remember the movie?
Totally.
So 1960, Disney
Everything
flick.
was good. She was just Miss Positive.
She was always looking for something to be glad about.
Oh, that lady drove me crazy.
And it just irritated people, too.
Yeah.
So, as I've been accused of being Pollyanna-ish.
That's the paradigm.
I decided, you know what? I better find out if that's a compliment or an insult.
Yeah.
So I went and watched the movie again. So here's the context. This girl, in the opening scenes of the movie, shows up on a train. She's maybe, 11 years old. She's just been orphaned. Okay, 11 years old is old enough to know what's going on.
Yeah. You're without your parents.
She's without her parents. Okay, her parents are now deceased. She shows up in this town that she's not familiar with to live with her rich aunt who owns the town, and a whole bunch of grumpy people work for her. This is not an ideal situation. No. And yet this girl is going about playing what she called the glad game. She's doing it on purpose.
Yeah, it's a choice.
So Earl Nightingale mentioned this. You remember who he is?
Yeah.
One of the gurus of positive thinking.
Right.
And he said that you look at anything that happens in your life and you say, that's good. Now, what happens normally, if something happens that is painful, difficult, challenging, it's natural to say that's bad.
Yeah, ugly.
Yeah, makes sense, right?
Right.
When you say that's bad, what's the next thing your mind does?
I guess you look for more evidence it's bad. You remove yourself from it.
Yeah, you're going to find 15 reasons why you're right about that.
Yeah.
And you know you're right. This is bad.
Well, and then
Here's
you
what's
have
bad
these
about
feelings that kind of reinforce it.
Yeah.
So you keep reinforcing it's bad.
Yeah, a self-feeding cycle that happens there. Well, what if you have something difficult, painful, or challenging, and you say, that's good?
Yeah, you'd probably start looking for evidence of good.
Well, not yet.
Yeah.
Because first you got a fight on your hands.
That's true. What do I want
Don't you?
Yeah.
Here's this mental conflict. What could possibly be good about this? And it's not even a question. It's a statement disguised as a question.
Right.
Because what you're really saying is nothing could possibly be good about this.
This is bad in all ways.
Yeah.
It's huge.
So the trick there psychologically is to switch it back into a question. What could possibly be good about this?
So one way to get the paradigm right is to ask ourselves to turn it, instead of just the negative reactive tendency, to ask a question about what could be good about such data.
Possibly be good about this. And that's what Pollyanna was doing. Okay, she was looking at this as an opportunity to search the situation and find or create what's good about this.
That's great. What a lesson.
Powerful stuff.
But we dismiss it like, oh, that's just so
Pollyanna.
Why can't you be more negative like the rest of us are? Rest of us educated folk.
Right, and it's a choice, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Well, and an 11-year-old's making the choice right then. What better thing to teach?
So steering our mind in that direction. Now, these are prerequisites, actually, to living on purpose. As long as you're stuck in a negative mindset, I call it the victim mentality.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm not talking about a victim of crime or a victim of abuse. I'm talking about a victim way of seeing the world.
Like life has hurt me. Life is impacting me. I have no choice.
Yeah.
I'm reactive. I have to react to this.
And it's a blaming mentality. It's not my fault.
Yeah.
And then you're going to find some favorite target of blame. And you hear this all the time. People blame the economy.
Oh, yeah.
They blame the institution. They blame their parents.
Yeah, politics. We blame everything but our own choices, our own reactions even. I mean, even the choices, we might not have great choices between, like, that's what we learned about the Jews that were in the Holocaust. And they're in Auschwitz and Viktor Frankl's stuff, Man's Search for Meaning. And you can't choose everything, but you can choose how you respond to this set of circumstances.
He called it the last of human freedoms.
Yeah.
To choose your attitude in any given set of circumstances.
Yeah.
That's compelling.
They would have called him Pollyanna.
Yeah, exactly.
Yet he's survived and thrived and changed lives.
And inspired millions of people because of a choice that he made.
Yeah, that's passion right there, isn't it?
Exactly.
Paul, we're talking with Dr. Paul Jenkins, who has his own podcast called liveonpurposeradio.com. You can go look that up, liveonpurposeradio.com. And we're going to take a break. We're talking about purpose, how to truly find your purpose. We've got to know the principles that govern our lives. We've got to understand, too, that there are certain paradigms that have to govern how we think about life. We're going to come back with more tools and ideas to get a leg up on a little bit better passion and purpose in our lives with Dr. Paul Jenkins. You're listening to The Matt Townsend Show right here on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio.
How about a battery that recharges in 90 seconds and lasts a decade?
This is Innovation Now, bringing you stories behind the ideas that shape our future.
Recent innovations in battery technology show promise of transforming many of today's electric devices. The system couples a traditional chemical battery with something called an ultracapacitor. Capacitors are like batteries, but instead of converting energy by chemical means, a very inefficient process, capacitors store power as an electrostatic charge, the same charge you get shuffling your feet across the carpet and touching a doorknob. Recent improvements have led to ultracapacitors, which can store really useful amounts of energy for long periods of time without the charge leaking away. Detroit already puts them in hybrid cars to handle tasks that need bursts of high energy stored for long periods. The latest tiny version of the ultracapacitor battery hybrid is being targeted for use in medical devices like small LED flashlights. The unit recharges in 90 seconds, claims to hold a charge for 1,000 hours, and can repeat that cycle for 10 years or more. Ultracaps could become the go-to future energy storage for power tools, electric cars, domestic solar power systems, and more. For Innovation Now, this is Buddy Rubino.
Innovation Now is produced by the National Institute of Aerospace through collaboration with NASA and is distributed by WHRV. Visit us online at innovationnow.us.
Freshen up your mornings with Marcus Smith and the BYU Radio Morning Show. Lifestyle, news, current events, science, technology, and just about anything else. You'll be feeling good all day long when you start your day with Marcus Smith and the Morning Show. Weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio.
Welcome to the good life. Welcome to the good life.
The wait is over.
Welcome to the good life.
And after all the talk, all I gotta say is
Welcome back, everybody, to the Matt Townsend Show. Listen to Kanye West and The Good Life. You know, if you're marrying a Kardashian, I don't know if I'd go with The Good Life. It seems like a really hard life at times. Anyway, we are talking to Dr. Paul Jenkins. Before we bring him back on microphone, I want him to listen to our own Bryce Tobin. Now, he doesn't know Bryce, but Bryce is one of our producers, top-notch guy.
I met Bryce.
Oh, you met him out there? That's right.
Yeah.
Bryce tends to do little rants on our show. He tends to kind of go off a little bit.
Okay.
So here's Bryce. Now, Bryce doesn't know what to do with his life, okay, Dr. Paul? But here's a look into some of his thoughts over the years.
Oh.
Look, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but I'm about to rant. This is the Bryce is Right. We've all got that idiot friend that keeps changing their career. One year it's a marine biologist, the next year they're the ever-ambiguous business major, which is college student for I don't have a clue what I'm doing. Then a few weeks later, they're part of a multi-level marketing program, which is totally not the same thing as a pyramid scheme because, like, the name's different and stuff. But who am I to point a finger? It's not like my story's particularly different. When I was 4, I wanted to be a train engineer because I was really into trains, and it seemed like the right thing to do. When I was 5, I wanted to be a firefighter because who doesn't like them? When I was 6, I wanted to be a scientist, and this held on until I was about 10. When I was 8, we moved to another state with really low educational standards, so I was an academic superstar for the 2 years that we lived there. Once we moved back to Texas, I was 2 years behind, and I grew to suddenly dislike academia. After that, I focused on sports. But then puberty happened, and sports no longer became a viable option. Around 12, I wanted to be a dentist, but then I found out everything the dentist had to do, and that it wasn't really a get-rich-quick scheme, and then I wasn't interested. When I was 16, I was certain psychology was the thing for me after I took a course in psychology, and I found it absolutely fascinating. I wanted to be a counseling therapist. This sort of held on until everyone kept commenting on my voice and told me to go into radio. But I thought, there's no money in radio, so I'll just go into general broadcasting and probably have something to do with TV. Then I started learning about the TV industry, and let's just say that after some investigation, I decided that wasn't the direction for me. After that, I was clueless again until I got back into school a few years later and I took another psychology class. But then, that's when I really knew I wanted to be a counselor because I just want to help people. But then I got talking to some professionals, and across the board, they told me all undergraduates say, I just want to help people. And anyone who exclusively goes into counseling therapy burns out in less than 2 years. And after a while, I realized that was definitely the future I was staring down. So most recently, I've been interested in organizational psychology. That's really just a fancy name for the guy who uses science to figure out where people should go and what they should do for a company. But now I don't know. Firefighter's looking pretty good again. You work out, chill out, you don't work every day. Occasionally, you have to do something dangerous, but then again, when don't you? And you'll never get rich being a firefighter, but other than that, it does sound pretty good. And also, axes. Those are cool, right? So I guess what I'm saying is, I may still be looking for a purpose, but there's this constant search for something to focus on. And you know what? I have a funny feeling that it's not a bad thing to be doing. All right, I'm out. And remember, don't forget to be awesome.
Well, that explains a lot, because now Bryce wants to go to Mars. So I think either this is only going to last a few weeks, or he may have found his final purpose. Do you hear a lot of people that are like Bryce, chasing the dream?
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The problem that a lot of people run into is they give up on the dream.
Yeah.
They come up with arguments like Bryce did in his rant about why, that's not going to work.
Yeah, it's not good. It's gonna
There's
be hard.
no money in that.
Yuck. Yeah.
That's going to be hard. So I encountered a model that really was helpful. And now we're getting back to the target.
Yeah.
Okay, so the third P is purpose.
So if he has the principles, understand that principles are what govern. Align your life to principles. Have the paradigms that align to creating purpose in your life. Mm-hmm. And then the third one is purpose. Finding your purpose is that.
And before we leave paradigm, I mentioned that there's this whole victim mentality, a victim way of seeing the world. Standing opposite of that is an agent mentality.
Yeah.
And it's the exact opposite of the victim. So instead of blaming, you take responsibility for your life.
Huge.
Now, this sounds a little bit like blaming yourself, but that's not what we're talking about. I just came back from a little road trip with my son.
Oh, great. Where'd you go?
To Las Vegas.
Well, that's a road
We
trip.
can golf there still.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But I was reminded of this experience I had years ago. I was going to see a client who lives in St. George, Utah, in southern Utah, and I was going down to see him. And you know how when you're driving, sometimes you get a little lost in your thoughts.
Oh, I love that.
And you go right by your exit.
Yeah. Oops.
Yeah. And I did this.
Did you go 900 miles by your exit? Oh,
I heard that news story.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite that bad, but I knew I was in the wrong place when I saw this big, colorful sign. It said, Arizona welcomes you.
Oh, yeah. You had passed. You had missed the mark.
Man. Arizona? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This isn't where I wanted to be.
How did I get to Arizona?
That's not what I had planned, not what I had in mind.
Yeah.
And how often does that show up?
Totally.
In life.
If you're looking for the signs.
This isn't where I wanted to be.
Right.
Not what I had in mind, not what I'd planned. Well, look down. Whose hands are on the wheel?
Yeah.
That bites a little, doesn't it?
Totally. That's not like you're the cause of all your problems, except you are.
Well, it's not blaming yourself. Yeah. It's realizing my hands are on the wheel, and as you swallow hard and realize I am where I am because I drove here.
Yeah. Well, that's empowering.
Yeah.
Which means I can now go anywhere.
Well, the bad news is also the good news. If your hands are on the wheel, what can you do next?
Yeah. It's
Steer
up to you.
Drive it. So that is a real key, because as we get into the discussion about purpose, who's driving anyway?
Right.
Now, the model comes back to the target, as we were talking about firing a gun earlier, and where's that bullet going to go? Let's aim for the center of the target. So this model comes from Dan Sullivan, the strategic coach.
Yeah.
And go look him up online. He's got some amazing stuff, but this model is attributed to Dan. The center of the target is your sweet spot. And everyone, I believe this strongly, everyone has a divinely appointed, God-given purpose to their life. So you've got strengths and abilities and talents and desires and interests that are unique.
Right. Unique to you, that if you don't offer, we all miss out on.
And dreams.
Yeah.
That's what those dreams are for. And you also have weaknesses and disabilities and
other
flaws
side.
And foibles, don't
Right.
you?
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
I mean, most other people anyway.
No, everybody does. My wife says I totally do.
And these things all come together in a unique package known as you.
Yeah. But I'm fat, Dr. Paul.
Okay.
Or I'm tired, or my parents did this. See, then we go back to our weaknesses, and we only define ourselves as where we're weak.
That's
You're
why we
defining
talked about paradigm.
where we're strong.
What are you going to focus on?
Yeah.
What you focus on, you feel. Everybody gets to have both strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
Is this true?
Totally. And you pick your poison.
And you choose which one you're going to focus on. It's kind of like, I was talking to my daughter about this the other day. It's kind of like having a handful of coins. And some of them are rusty and dingy and grimy. And some of them are brilliant and shiny and beautiful. Are you going to spend all your time trying to polish the dingy ones?
Right now.
Or just go after those brilliant gems that are in there?
And they're still valuable.
So that's what we're talking about.
Love it.
Okay, this whole package. So when you hit the center, and you asked, how can you tell when you're on target?
Right.
And Dan Sullivan put it this way. He says there are 4 criteria. Number 1, you have a passion for this. It lights you up.
Yeah, it should be exciting.
Yeah. It draws you out of bed.
Yeah.
You can't wait to get to it. Now, if you're not thinking that about your current job, that's probably not it.
Right. And it doesn't mean you quit. You just start, great, let's go find my passion.
Let's see if we can hone in on what's the center of my target. So that's first, passion.
Okay.
Second, you have exceptional skill. Exceptional skill. So you might have a passion for singing, but that's not your unique mission in life.
So some might say, hey,
well,
you're
you've
really
watched American
Idol. It's
Idol.
like a gift, yeah. This is something that maybe, so exceptional skill, I guess, means it comes easier to you.
It comes naturally to you.
Yeah, you get it.
In fact, that's one of the things that veils it from you. Because it comes so naturally to you, you don't understand how valuable this is to other people.
Yeah, interesting.
You're like, what's the big deal?
Everybody does this.
And they don't.
Yeah.
It's unique to you because of your package of abilities and skills. Okay.
So you have passion, you have
exceptional
skills around it.
Third is that, no, wait, I forgot the order of these. Okay, so you have passion for it, you have exceptional skill. The third thing is that it adds energy to your life.
So it's additive. It's not just a drain.
Exactly. There's tons of things we engage in that kind of drain us. This isn't that way. It adds energy to your life. I go home from my office feeling more pumped up than I did when I left for it.
Well, and that's interesting because Bryce's example earlier was that he would be drained by counseling, which might be telling him it's not the sweet spot.
Some people would be.
Yeah, but for you actually go home energized.
That fires me up.
Isn't that cool? Yeah,
I love it.
I do too.
Or doing the radio.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting, though. And then you can just see if that's all you're doing, that might wear you out, especially when you like doing radio, too, and you like speaking and you like other things.
So here's the fourth one. The fourth criterion is that you seek constant improvement.
Yeah.
You're always looking for ways to expand and develop it, and that way you don't burn out. This is where you actually contribute to the game. I was watching the Jazz game last night. And
don't tell Skyboy he doesn't like the Jazz lately.
LeBron James was playing.
I don't mind the Jazz.
You just love the Spurs.
I just love the Spurs. I don't like the Heat, so I'm glad that the Jazz beat the Heat last night.
Oh, did the Jazz beat the Heat?
Which was really cool.
That is really cool.
And I wish I could have gone.
But the announcer said something about LeBron James being a special kind of a player.
Yeah.
And this is true of some. You think of Michael Jordan. You think of some of these guys who actually changed the game. They contribute in ways that totally changes the game forever.
Yeah.
And that's because this is in their sweet spot.
He's in the sweet spot.
Exactly.
So the sweet spot, again, consists of things that you're passionate about, you have exceptional skill around, it adds energy to your life, and it's something you seek to constantly improve
Constant improvement, exactly.
And by the way, so as they're out there listening, anything in your life that you would do that with. So if this is something, even just keeping your house clean and tidy and neat and interesting and well painted and cared for, this could be this could be the sweet spot.
Absolutely.
It can be anything.
And don't argue yourself out of it by saying, but there's no money in that.
That's right.
How could I ever get a job doing that?
Yeah. Or it's illegal. Oh, that would be different. It's still got to be principled, right? Because if it's illegal, but you're passionate about it.
Matt, this is why we talked about principle first.
That's right. See, good.
Second paradigm.
I'm glad
third,
you're here.
Purpose.
Purpose.
All right? So we're building this target. That's at the center.
That's the center. And part of the center then would be you want this criteria. So there's people out there right now thinking, hey, those are I kind of now know what mine is. I know what my purpose might be. Let's take a break. We're going to come back with Dr. Paul Jenkins. And he's going to give us more. He's going to teach us then what. Okay, so now we know kind of our principles, our paradigms, our purpose. Then what do we do with it? We're trying today to give you the tools to live on purpose, get your life back, and start, first of all, knowing what your purpose is and then living intentionally that purpose in life. We'll take a break right here on the Matt Townsend Show on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio.
KBYU-FM, HD2 Provo.
Have you ever wanted to travel the world? Now you can experience the vibrant cultures and customs of countries across the globe and cities across America through the eyes and ears of folk artist Eric Dowdle. Tune in to Traveling with Eric Dowdle and travel the world weekdays at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio.
This is Sam McCall for Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio. President Barack Obama will announce his final proposals to reduce gun violence tomorrow, which could include 19 executive orders recommended by Vice President Joe Biden's task force that the president received earlier today. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has signed into law the nation's first significant gun control measures since the Newtown, Connecticut shooting. It includes an expansion of assault weapon bans on some high-capacity magazines, and will help keep firearms out of the hands of the mentally ill. The widow of a victim of the Aurora, Colorado theater shooting is suing suspect James Holmes' former psychiatrist on the grounds that he should have had Holmes placed in a mental health facility to protect the public from the rampage Holmes is accused of. As the nation continues to struggle with gun violence measures, a gunman at a St. Louis university attacked a faculty member early this morning before turning his firearm on himself. Former Tour de France cyclist Lance Armstrong reportedly admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs during his decorated career in an interview last night with Oprah Winfrey. Armstrong agreed to the interview after a tense hearing with the U.S. anti-doping agency. In world news, explosions rocked Aleppo University in Syria today, killing over 80 as the civil war continues to take more lives. Both rebel and government forces are blaming each other for the attack. A woman stole a commuter train in Stockholm early this morning, driving it into a suburban area at high speed. The train derailed and crashed into an apartment building. Luckily, no one was seriously injured. France has signed on for a long campaign against the al-Qaeda-linked rebels in Mali, who are holding their positions despite 5 days of airstrike attacks. French officials say they will stick to the fight until order is restored. That's the news to now on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio. I'm Sam McCall.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Matt Townsend Show and a little living on a prayer. You know,
living on purpose, living on a prayer.
Living on a prayer. You know what? If you had a prayer in your heart and then went after your purpose, that's probably the way to go. I love what you're saying, Dr. Paul. We're joined by Dr. Paul Jenkins, who's a positive psychologist, PhD. Got that PhD from BYU in 1995, but then has his own practice in psychology called positive psychology called Live on Purpose. He has a podcast you can look up called liveonpurposeradio.com, and he puts something out at least monthly. He's given some tools and some ideas there. Mm-hmm. But Dr. Paul, you've been kind of teaching us that living on purpose is like having a bullseye, a bullseye. And at some point we got to hone in, we got to have a plan. We got to understand we're the one firing whatever mechanism we're firing to hit the bullseye. We got to know what our direction is. We got to have our purpose. And then what? What's the fourth P?
The fourth P is passion.
Oh, passion.
And
I missed that. I got that. Oh, that was it.
That
was purpose.
That is also one of the 4 criteria by which you can know that you're hitting your target.
That's right.
Okay,
that's how you know you're in the vein, is when you feel this passion. But you also said exceptional skill, adding to energy in your life. One way you know you're doing your purpose and your passion is you should have energy.
It adds energy to your life. It fires you up.
What if you're just bad at, managing your talent? So what if you've got a great talent, but you've just got you don't manage it well?
Here's the thing. You're not good at everything.
Yeah.
When you look at a target, the center of that target is the smallest part of the target.
Yeah, the hard part.
Right. That's why you get the most points for hitting that.
Yeah.
If you're playing darts or if you're shooting. So let's move out to the next ring. All right. So you got your center, and that's where those 4 criteria come in, that you have passion for it, you have exceptional skill.
Yeah.
It adds energy to your life, and you seek constant improvement. Now, the next ring out from that is your area of excellence.
Yeah.
This is stuff you're really good at, but you might not have the same passion for it. It may not light you up or add energy the way your unique mission does.
But it's so easy for you to do, you do it.
Yeah, and you can probably make a lot of money doing that.
Yeah.
A lot of people choose careers that are in their area of excellence. And so that's not a bad place to be. For me personally, my area of excellence includes child custody evaluations for the court.
Yeah.
I don't do them anymore, but I'm really good at them.
Well, but I guess then you just this is where you just get rid of, I guess the more you know yourself and you can hone into the center of what's important to you, you're willing to let go of these other things that might make you more money or...
Exactly.
But you're also kind of a master of your world because you're so much more focused on what you do well.
Yeah, and you're replacing some of the time that you're spending in these outer rings of the target with things that are at your core. So it's a process of identifying what's closer to the center of my target, and can I spend more of my time doing that?
That's, I guess, what helps you say no, doesn't it? Is by knowing all of this, now you can say no. Because all these we're all out there saying yes, because we don't know what our yeses or our nos are.
Okay,
so we got to say yeah.
Let's move out one more ring.
Yeah.
Now picture this target, because every ring is getting bigger and bigger. Okay, so the next ring is your area of competence.
Okay, yeah.
Stuff you can do.
Yeah. You don't love it. Maybe you don't thrive
you're not
at
particularly good at it. It takes you more time than an expert to do this. So my area of competence includes roofing.
Really?
Yeah, guess how I know.
Yeah, you've had to roof something,
I
haven't you?
replaced my roof.
Did you?
And I'm not good at it.
Yeah, let's
and
not
it took
do
a
that
long
again.
time. I learned stuff, and maybe there's some value in doing that. But this is where a lot of people get trapped.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up spending all of their time doing stuff that they can do,
but maybe shouldn't be doing.
Well, then there's not time left over to do what you're uniquely qualified and designed to do.
That's interesting.
So this whole area of competence. Now let's move out one more ring.
Yeah.
This is the biggest one of all. Incompetence.
Yeah.
This is the
You're
stuff
not
you
good at
stink
this.
at.
Yeah.
You have no business doing this. If you hang out in this ring, you're making it worse.
You're aggravating your situation.
Brain surgery.
Right. Let's not do that.
Don't do this, people.
Yeah.
Unless you're a qualified brain surgeon, you're going to make it worse, right?
What
or
would
me
make
cutting my
somebody
daughter's
do
hair.
something they just shouldn't? They're just incompetent at. I guess the belief that they have to.
Okay, we'll go back to paradigm.
Yeah.
What's your choice?
Yeah.
Now, two things happen as you get closer to the center of the target, and I'm talking in your activities and the way you spend your time, or in the way you spend your thoughts. What do you focus on? Because how many people are focused on everything I can't do?
Right.
Everything I don't have.
Yeah.
Living in that world of scarcity, that victim mindset that we talked about. Okay, that's that outer ring. You can spend
amazing.
time there if you want.
Oh, yeah.
But you're making it worse.
Well, and you're occupying your energy, your resources, your time, your focus.
Right.
You're just spending
It consumes.
Yeah.
Whereas
That's
the
where we
center of
lose
the
it.
target produces.
But it's so small.
Yeah.
But it's so focused that when you're there, it's all leveraged.
Well, the closer you get to the center, two things start to happen. Okay, number one, you love your life.
Yeah.
And that's the passion. That's the fourth P. Okay, you love your life. It lights you up. And the second thing, you become wealthy.
Yeah, the wealth is kind of the natural byproduct of being so good at something you do.
Well, and I already said that, because if you love your life, you're wealthy.
Yeah.
What else is there?
Right.
But there is an economic exchange, because you're creating more value for more people doing what you are uniquely designed to do.
That's interesting.
And there's an exchange for that.
Are there some, though, are there some passions and some areas where the exchange may not, your wealth may not be a financial exchange in the end, but peace?
Financial is a secondary form of wealth.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many other forms.
What do you do with money anyway? You go trade it for something you really want.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if you could just have peace, love,
relationships,
relationships,
joy, yeah.
prosperity, joy, happiness?
Yeah. Health. I mean,
yeah, would you care if you had money, if you had all those things?
Yeah, no, we'd be good.
People get deceived into thinking, well, the money's going to buy me that.
Right.
Money's a very effective tool to bring things into your life.
But it's horrendous if you haven't done all this other work. If you
Well,
had
it
somebody the money,
magnifies.
yeah, then they're not. It's just going to magnify a
You know,
mess.
I heard a Bill Cosby routine. He was interviewing someone who was using drugs. Okay, this was the routine.
Yeah.
He was acting it
Yeah.
out, obviously. Why do you use that? And the guy says, "Oh, because it magnifies my personality." He says, "Yeah, but what if you're an idiot?"
We don't need that magnified, please.
And money's going to do the same thing, right?
Right, exactly.
It magnifies and empowers.
That's the key, though, isn't it? Is that in the end result, what brings the value to life is having magnified you, your gifts, your talents, the divine spark, as Emerson used to call it, that each of us carries.
Yeah.
You magnify that, you're going to magnify your life and the people around you.
Think of all the people who inspire you.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that what they're doing?
Totally. And they're not into them.
Right.
And they aren't. They can go on and keep going and keep going and keep going. I mean, it's interesting. What we think life is about, because I guess we haven't learned the principles, and we maybe haven't focused on the paradigms. We're sometimes so off target. Like we think
Exactly.
going to Mars will make us happier.
What kind of a boneheaded
I
idea is
know.
that?
No, it would be a great idea if you got the principles, paradigms, and purpose right, and you're passionate about leaving everybody on Earth.
Right.
But you'll still, I mean, you just end up there and have to fight with 4 people instead of 50. That's a lot harder. So, Dr. Paul, this is quite a journey that we have to make here, though, isn't it?
It's an amazing adventure. I love what Helen Keller said about that. She says life is either a grand adventure or it is nothing.
Oh.
And what a game. What an adventure.
Yeah.
What if we looked at it that way?
There's paradigm again.
It goes right back to paradigm. You're absolutely right.
See, and who better? Helen Keller? I mean, what other choice options does she have? It's either a big waste, and she's just messed up and a big waste, or there's some divine purpose here, or some, what'd she call it?
A grand adventure.
Some grand adventure toward that deeper self, that deeper yes.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Viktor Frankl, too, another great example.
Yeah.
How are you going to look at your life? And do you choose to focus on what's bad? Do you choose to focus on what's good? I mean, this sounds so simple, and it is simple.
It's Pollyanna.
It's Pollyanna. It's not easy.
No.
Easy and simple aren't
No.
the same thing.
But it is simple in that it's just that.
And it is a choice, too. The thing is, the great deception, I think, of the victim paradigm, that victim way of seeing the world, is that you don't have a choice.
Right.
There is no choice.
And there's the beginning of waste.
Mm-hmm.
The minute you assume you have no choice or say or power in your own life, you're right.
Then purpose disappears.
Yeah. That is the great deception, isn't it?
It is.
And what do you do, Dr. P, when we're sitting there and people around us are big into the martyr, the victim mentality? They're big into it. Like they are owned. Their paradigm is owned by that. What am I supposed to do when their lack of principles, paradigms, purpose, passion is starting to encroach in my life?
You know what? I tell my clients all the time, after we have these discussions, they're going to notice 2 things. And first, you're going to notice that you yourself do victim thinking.
Oh, yeah. Every human.
Yeah.
I think it's part
of our
of
condition.
being human, right?
Absolutely. And it's not a question of, am I a victim? It's where and how.
How do I play
am
that
I
card?
a victim? Where does that show up for me? And the second thing you're going to notice is other people around you doing victim thinking.
Yeah. But
don't point it out to them.
No, help me with this, because I think this is really a core. When you're in the victim thinking mentality, you end up, there's signs you're in it.
Oh, yeah.
There's certain feelings you manifest. But what do you see? So what would you say to somebody that are signs to look for that when you see those, you're probably in the victim mentality?
Simple. We can summarize that with one word: captivity.
You feel stuck.
Stuck is the most common way people describe that, but it could range from stuck to incarcerated.
Yeah. Yeah.
To
kidnap, to having somebody oppress. I mean, it can go to this whole realm, can't it?
It absolutely does. Yeah. Captivity. You know that you're more focused on that agent paradigm when you create liberty. Freedom. New possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Another good example, the victim mentality is, I can't.
Yeah. I have to.
I can't. What happens to your mind when you say I can't?
Yeah. Okay, validate it.
It's like a big old switch. You just shut her down.
Yeah. There's another example. Yeah.
There's nowhere to go after I can't. What if instead you were to say I can, and even if you don't know how, so you're going to ask that question, how can I? What will it take? See, that turns the mind on.
Yeah, and the mind can find a way.
So that creates possibilities. That's liberty.
Yeah.
I can't creates stuckness. That's captivity. So I just sum it up with those 2 words, captivity and liberty.
I love that. And really, we all are captive at times. And the sign of captivity would be hopeless and you lose the joy. There's no peace. This world's horrible. I have to do a bunch of stuff. I've got no other choice.
Mm-hmm.
Or liberty, which is when you start to open up. It's powerful when that's really what empowerment is when you turn that power back on and the power's back within you.
And seeing your own hands on the wheel.
Oh, yeah.
Another great example. Do we have time for another example?
We got one more, yeah.
Why me?
Yeah, that's huge.
What you've heard of the whiners?
Yeah, I haven't heard it put that way.
The
but yeah.
why babies.
Yeah, why did this have to happen to me?
Okay, why me? Why this? Why now? Why us?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the opposite of that?
Why not, I guess. Why not happen to me? Why shouldn't this happen to me?
This is crazy talk, Matt. Who says that? Why not me?
Yeah.
Why not me?
Or what can I do with it now? Now it's here. The train's arrived. What do I do?
Exactly.
Do I just deal? Yeah, that's power. But see, that's what we respect in others.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess when those moments come, if you have and understand the principles, that's what governs. When you have the paradigm that you're an agent, when you have a purpose that really energizes you, you're passionate about, that's easy for you, that produces results for you, man, that's how you get out of the why nots or the why me's. The why me. The way out of the why me is those 4 P's.
Mm-hmm. This applies on the positive end and on the negative end. So something difficult, painful, discouraging happens to you, and you can say, why me, why me, why me? Or you can say, why not me? Am I not just as qualified as anybody to have this particular challenge?
Right. Do this for me.
It feels different.
Because the world, we all took a hit with Sandy Hook Elementary in Connecticut.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what could be worse than why? Like, why?
Mm-hmm.
How would you run those 4 P's in there?
Things like that are so powerfully compelling. I like to think of it this way, and it goes back to paradigm again. How are we going to look at this? When you're in a brightly lit room and you open up a dark closet, what happens? The darkness rushes out and fills up the room.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, you need a light, though, don't you?
The brightly lit room displaces all the darkness in the closet.
Yeah.
It always goes that direction.
Yeah, it doesn't come the other way.
That was a dark day in Connecticut. And I have seen personally dozens of examples of light that happened and were made more obvious and compelling because of the darkness that was present.
The contrast.
Yeah, and some of those are very personal. I have some little grandnephews who went to church with a couple of those little kids.
Oh, no, really?
And so there were some stories that came through the family, and I saw some through the local media.
Yeah.
That there was a mortician, for example, who offered his services for free.
Yeah.
Is that a glimmer of light?
That's light.
And we can see that more clearly because of the darkness. So what are we going to do? Focus on the darkness? We're going to start lighting up some candles?
That's it. Yeah, you have to get the light out.
So the darker it seems, the more potential there is now to illuminate light.
Huge.
And that's all about paradigm.
And you're an agent. Go light it up.
When the paradigm is clear, then you are prepared. You are in a position to take on purpose.
Huge. And then the peace.
Mm-hmm.
And the peace comes. Good stuff.
Exactly.
Dr. Paul Jenkins, appreciate you, man. We're going to have you back to pick your brain some more.
I'd love to come back.
Would that be part of your
fun.
purpose?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Now, Dr. Paul, they can reach you by going to look up your podcast, liveonpurposeradio.com, right?
Liveonpurposeradio.com. I have a website for my practice also called drpauljenkins.com, spelled with a DR.
There's... really, you're a great resource. So we appreciate being on the show.
Well, thank you.
We're going to have you back. We need your help. We all do. We're going to take a break. Appreciate Dr. Paul Jenkins being with us. As we come back, we're going to wrap up the show and see if we can't put a smile on your face right here on the Matt Townsend Show on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio.